visually, our 2014 Ford Focus ST development car has always been what we'd call a sleeper. So really enjoyed that look. Nice, clean OEM lines without much added and without much attention. So one thing you could tell that the car is a little bit different is the wheels, and those are just some Team Dynamics 18x8. We run a 245 tire on there. You can go a little bit wider. You can go for a bit more aggressive of an offset on it, but these have served us very well over the years. So, and they match the look of the car. So overall and otherwise, the car is quite stock looking. So if you love those sleeper looks, this is definitely something that you'd enjoy. You can see the Cobb turbo back exhaust sticking out there, and one other detail is that we actually the rotors are not the best because they don't have the coating to prevent the rust where the pad is not touching them, but these are an upgraded rear brake from the Mazda 5. The caliper is the same, but the Mazda 5 has larger diameter rotors, and we took those rotors, we took the caliper bracket from the Mazda 5 and we put that on for a little bit of extra braking torque in the rear. Here is the engine bay of our Ford Focus ST. So in this engine bay, there's a few things that immediately pop out at you. First of all, we have our aux fuel kit. So we're running actually one of our prototypes for our aux fuel kit. Our rail is not anodized as the ones that we sell today, but it functions just the same. We're running the 50-pound injectors, and our controller for this aux fuel kit is right here. Right next to it, we have our Guardian Angel. Our Guardian Angel controls our blow-off valve, prevents overboost events, or opens up the blow-off valve in case of an overboost, and also it effectively replaces this signal, which is the manifold pressure sensor signal to the ECU. So the GA has a 4-bar map sensor built in, and we're using it because it's getting the signal from the compositor lead right here. So it's getting this pressure signal and using that to feed the ECU the necessary pressure signals. On top of that, you can't see it. It's tucked away in here, but we have the upgraded tip sensor on the intercooler outlet, and that's a 3.5 bar. And we're running all this, of course, with the GTX 2867 turbo. Now we're running aux fuel, and we're running water methanol at the same time. So our water methanol system is right here. Here's the pickup tube for it from the OEM washer bottle. And it's actually, you can see the gauge. It's inside the vehicle right there. And that's the cooling mist, the controller and gauge. So we're running both because E85 is not very common in our area. And so we supplement the octane via water methanol injection and also run aux fuel. We have here our Cobb intake. It's been on the car for many years. Now this Cobb intake has been reliable, and the only thing to watch out for is that this line here, which is the feed line for the high pressure pump, it can touch this intake tube. So the bracket that holds on the intake, we had to work with a little bit just so that there's no contact there. Other than that, from the top here, from the engine bay, there isn't that much more to see, and that's good. We like a sleeper look, and this vehicle is certainly a sleeper, and it can surprise a lot of people. So let's have a walk underneath our 2014 Ford Focus ST, which has been our development car for now over 5 years. So this car has so many of the parts that we really think make a great build for a Focus ST like this. Now underneath, we start with the engine. So internally, the engine is stock, and it has been very reliable for over 30,000 miles with everything we've thrown at it, and over 400 wheel horsepower. So this has a lot to do with the components installed, the tuning, the fueling, and all that, and we'll go over that briefly. So starting out here at the front, actually we start at the front of the vehicle. You can see that we have the large CPE intercooler, the largest that they made. That was the only one available on the market at that time, and it has been a very, very reliable unit with excellent temperature control, but it is relatively heavy. The cold side duties are handled by a CPE cold side pipe with a teal valve. Now this teal valve we control using a guardian angel at the top of the motor, and then you'll see this blue line here, and then this blue line is our methanol line that connects to the nozzle, which you can see right here. So we're running a 7-gallon-per-hour nozzle in this car, and we've mounted the pump right here. There's another video dedicated to our methanol system, but it's a cooling mist system. It's the pump is mounted right there, solidly on brackets, and then it is pulling methanol from the windshield washer fluid reservoir, which you can actually see right here, but it's just the OEM fluid reservoir, and it's very nice to have that because it has a low level light. So the hot side pipe is a JBR pipe, and this hot side pipe comes straight from the Garrett turbocharger. We'll go over that in just a second. The only modification that's been done to the hot side pipe has been that we put a hump hose here because it was too much shock when the engine was moving back and forth, and that would result in some of the bracketry breaking. Now moving back here to how the engine is suspended. So the engine has OEM, it has OEM side motor mounts. We never went for anything harsher than that. And we do have a Cobb rear motor mount that has been very reliable for us for over the years. Really a great solution. And we haven't had any issues with the bushing or anything like that in all kinds of use. We never got the side motor mounts because those would be too harsh for a car that sees some daily use. The transmission itself has come off the vehicle, and there's a spec stage 3 clutch, stage 3 plus, I'm sorry, clutch, and Quaife LSD limited slip differential, and we're still on the OEM axles. So up here, you can see the turbo that we believe is one of the great bread and butter turbos of these vehicles, an ATP GTX 2867. This is a Gen 1. It has worked so reliably and flawlessly for us over the years that we've been very happy with it, and we continue recommending it to customers building these vehicles up to the low 400 wheel horsepower range. So it's been very good. And from that, we have a catalyzed exhaust. It is a Cobb exhaust, and it's a full turbo back exhaust. Again, something that we've been very happy with. The corrosion has been minimal with it, and we've just overall grown to love the sound. At first it was a little bit on the loud side, but it's characterful, and it's good for this vehicle. So other than that, what have we got? We've got some suspension work, some brake work on the vehicle, so let's go over some of that. So we've upgraded to the 2014 and a half and newer larger rotors on this car, and with these larger rotors we've effectively increased cooling capacity, and you can see that we have some Velosa cooling ducts, and we've removed the backing shields. So with the proper track padding here, and you can see that based on the grooves on the rotor that the pads are quite aggressive. You can definitely do lapping days with this kind of setup. Now you have the RS setup available that bolts onto this car, but this has been good and sufficient. For suspension, we have the Bilstein, the B14 coilovers, and you can kind of see them up in here. So these B14 coilovers have been very reliable for us. Haven't had any issues. The dampening is just right for this vehicle. The only thing that they could use is some camber adjustment up front. So that would be something to think about. Maybe adding some camber plates with slightly different springs and a linear spring, but otherwise they've been really solid for us. We also have sway bars front and back, and these are Cobb sway bars, and they are no longer available for the vehicle, but I'm pretty sure you can get something very equivalent from Eibach and anything similar. And if my recommendation is to just do the rear sway bar, it makes the car, especially if you do a lot of autocross, makes it even livelier and makes it want to rotate even more. So for high speed stuff, the front sway bar helps with stability, but for the lower speed kind of autocross stuff, then you're gonna enjoy just the rear sway bar. So that sums up the underside of our Focus ST, and you can also see how clean the car was kept. So wanted to make a note of that. I know a lot of people live in very salty climates. One way to do it is to I use a spray called LPS3, and you can find it on Amazon. It has really been excellent at keeping this vehicle rust-free. I apply it once a year. It's kind of a waxy substance. The subframes and all that in these cars are not the most resilient when it comes to salt and corrosion. So that's a recommendation how to keep it nice and clean on the underside.